are you here today then?
I'm here because I believe in freedom.
Why do you think you've not got freedom?
Why do I not believe I've got freedom? The way that they house arrested us, put us on house arrest.
Well, you do know that lockdown's a jail term. It means all lockdown in your cells, so you're spot on there.
Yes, I'm not up for being locked down. I'm here to be free. I'm a free person.
What do you think about this virus, alleged virus?
I think it's a scam. I think it's a scam for their new world order.
I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. What are you doing here today? See, we have fun here.
What does it say? I'm here for freedom.
Whose?
Mine and the rest of the world.
Everyone's, yeah.
Everyone's freedom.
Everyone.
Anything else to say on that?
Every life matters.
Every life matters.
Exactly.
Every life
Exactly.
matters. All life matters. Everybody matters. We matter.
Yes, we do.
Right. What are you doing here today?
I don't know, I just saw a group of people and somebody said, well, you got a mask on for, mate. You look a bit of a TWAT. And I thought I'd stand and listen to them about this, all this virus nonsense, you know what I mean? Because I'm a free man and I don't like being told that I've got to stay behind the doors for something what that isn't there. It's all a con, the government are conning us. And people need to wake up now and smell the coffee. It's as simple as that. So I'm smelling coffee, Mark.
Right, you two are new here today, aren't you? You actually were walking past earlier and you both had masks on, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you've engaged in conversations with everybody now. What is your opinion now of what now you've been talking to people?
I feel like it's full of lies with what's been going on. You know, everything's been happening for years, and people not realise it's been happening. They think it's a new thing. I think everything's a lie. Like they say one thing, coronavirus is this, but how can you feel it? What's coronavirus? People could be asking questions. What is it really? Yeah.
And if you got anything to say, or you agree? You agree with?
Yeah, because it's like, I think this is all like the order. It's like the government's trying to make people like rats, like trapped indoors, and they're not letting us come out. So, we all got opinions, and I just feel like something bad's going to come, and we all have to be, and we all have to be ready whenever it comes.
And are you local to Nottingham?
I'm from Nottingham.
And you?
Manfield.
Okay, that's great. I'm just going around getting everyone's view. And what are you doing here today?
Thought to say hi to you lovely people. Just trying to get my voice across really. Just because obviously it's all a lot of rubbish being spread on media and that, and you just get sick of hearing the same thing. And you just think, yeah.
Now your accent clearly isn't from Nottingham. So whereabouts are you actually? Have you come from? Should we say?
I'm actually from Liverpool, even though I'm not from Liverpool. So yeah.
And where have you travelled down from today?
We've come from Wirral / Liverpool, yeah.
So you've made a 2.5-hour journey to come down. See, if this lovely woman can do that, and this lovely dog can travel all the way down here for this, then everybody can make it here. Thank you. Go on, I'm gonna.
Social media, I'm just asking, is it on social media?
It'll be on Facebook and YouTube and BitChute.
Yeah.
If you look for Mark Cylon, Ceylon, you'll see me stood next to a blue police box. Just friend me and or look on my timeline, and it'll be on there probably tomorrow or Monday, and you'll be able to see all this. Okay.
Yeah, before after we can.
Yeah, it'll be on Facebook and YouTube and that.
We don't believe in it. We don't believe in it. We don't believe in social distancing because it's a con. It's a con. It's a con.
It's only guidelines, it's not law. If it was law, then we would agree to it. Fucking weirdos. We would agree to
Oh, and what are you doing here today?
I'm here today. I'm a new member of. I joined UK Freedom Movement on Thursday, and I've come down here today to fight for our freedom, fight for our democracy, and fight for equality in the UK. I see our government has not done anything for the people of this country in decades and decades, and it's about time that we people in this country stand up for what our forefathers fought for, our freedom, our democracy, and our quality of life.
Well done, that. Well said. Oh, we've got a lovely young couple here. They were around the corner doing something rather naughty, so I waited till they finished that and come round here. So what's brought you two here today then?
Did you ask to come?
You fibber!
No, to support the group here that are awake to what's going on.
What is going on?
Massive takeover, the New World Order. Freedom's being taken away from us.
Who buys?
Who buy it? People like Bill Gates, the government, everyone. Everyone that's up there that's controlling things, money.
And where have you come from today?
Derby.
Well, we won't judge you on that one this time.
No, we want to live in Bulgaria, mate. So.
Oh, yeah, they do want to live in Bulgaria. That's all they kept going on about in the last meeting. We want to get to Bulgaria. We're supposed to be in Bulgaria.
That's it.
And I don't blame them. I'd love to be there rather than here now, actually. But there we go.
Hello, my friend.
And what are you doing here today?
I've just come to make my presence felt, peacefully, of course.
And what do you think's going on?
I don't know. There's a lot going on. I'm not sure we've got enough time, Mark. But, the technology's finally caught up with the plan, hasn't it?
Yes.
I think if you want to put it all into one sentence, long plan, and now, obviously, I think the ones that are controlling everything, if you want to say everything, really control everything, all the economy, the food supply, the money, and there's one just umbrella company. It's like an umbrella company at President There's like one umbrella company at the top, but it's just a small group of companies.
Actually, in Wuhan, there's a company that's to do with all this sort of thing that has the umbrella sign as its logo.
Oh, is it really? Yeah. I didn't know that. But, you've got this small group of people at the top, and they control all the little companies underneath, and they've been doing this slowly but surely in order to sort of what can I say, to secure the asset. They've secured all the assets now, obviously, with the banking system that's infiltrated the money system, where now they've taken all the wealth and there's none left, and all we've got left is debt. So now it's perfect time to crash everything.
What would you say to those people that are just a year or two away from getting a pension?
I know, but I don't know what to say. In what way?
Well, I don't think they're going to get one. I think all the pension money's already been stolen by the government.
Well, all the wealth is actually fake now, isn't it?
Yes.
Let's just look back to just some years ago, like 10 years ago. Let's just go back 10 years when you had signs outside every shop and on marketplaces collecting all the gold and silver and all the material money, and now there's none left. You can't even, for example, in America, you can't exchange the note for the value anymore. That's gone. The gold standard is
same as it used to be in this country.
Same as it used to be in this country. Now, obviously, years ago, anyone that's old enough, like, I'm not saying you're old, but anyone that's your generation or above, my generation don't really know this, but everything used to be done in weights and measures.
Yeah.
Which is the official imperial way of trading. That's gone, that's been abolished. How did this all come to pass that this system got changed? Well, it slowly got changed by the banks, who slowly charged interest on the money that's in the economy. So let's just say, for argument's sake, you've got £1 billion in the economy, and that £1 billion goes into this system as where it goes down, it runs through all the public sectors, everybody gets paid, and they pay the taxes, and everything sort of goes down into to pay the public sector through the taxes, and everything goes round and round and round, and this makes a stable society or a stable financial economy. But as soon as the banks get involved and start taking interest from everyone, obviously a little bit of wealth keeps going to the bank every time people are paying interest, until you get to a situation where we're in now, and like they had in Greece back in 2010, but now it's worldwide, where all the countries have constantly been having bailouts from the banks, and now the banks own the countries. So now the people that are controlling the people that we are supposed to work for us, the people that fund everything, they're the banks. So you've got the banks, and then who are the most powerful people in this day and age? The technocrats. So the technology, like I said before, has now caught up with the plan. This long-standing plan that we all know has been going on for thousands of years at least, where they've all been working together, and it's now you've got this octopus that's just slowly infiltrating. Look at what America's been doing, going all over the world, taking down governments, putting their own people there, slowly but surely. You've got this one world government behind the scenes just slowly taking over. And here we are now today, with everybody who's got all their home comforts.
Are they going to make it, this new world government?
But they're doing it.
So we've already lost them?
It would seem that way. That's why I decided that, although I've got a lot of other things, I could have been earning money today and what have you, and I'm a small business, so I lose money every day. I don't go to work, but I think that every moments like this are becoming more rare and more rare every second that passes. Now, you know how the original American Revolution started. They all discussed it in a tavern,
and there was only 4% of the actual population took part in that.
Yeah, but I don't know the statistics. That's interesting to know. But they all were just talking like we are in a pub or a tavern, as they called it then. Now all the pubs are shut and all the places of worship are shut. I mean, playgrounds. I mean, I've got a 5-year-old who's seen the playgrounds with padlocks on and stuff, and it's not had a good effect on. You can see how all this has affected the 5-year-old. How it's affecting children from the age of say 4 to say 12 before they start becoming adolescent men. I don't think people are paying enough attention to that. And how it's going to affect them if they go back to school and they've got to do all this social distancing, and how that's going to have an effect on them mentally. And I for one, won't accept it if you start try and put my son or any of my children in a box or any of this. I won't be allowing that to happen. But that's another thing altogether. Addressing that, what we were saying about this takeover, it's been a long-standing plan. They've never been able to do it before, but now, we spoke about this before, the smart technology, this infiltrative technology, which has infiltrated every aspect of almost everyone's lives, is constantly giving them the ability to have this live information that comes from you. It can tell them your beliefs, it can tell them your thinking, it can tell them how much money or property you own, it literally can tell them everything. It can even tell them when you're on the toilet. So that's that, isn't it? And if you've got smart meters and you've got this, I mean, I haven't got one, but I'm guilty. I've got a smartphone. I'm guilty. I'm as guilty as anybody else. And but Alexa, I think that's scary.
Yeah.
Constantly feeding every single thing that you do. When I was a child, I wasn't allowed to give my phone number out at home. Now we've got to the point where you literally go in a supermarket, you got an email address, it's such and such. Without even thinking about it. An app on your phone can send me to have all your contacts, to be able to record your conversations, for me to use your camera and watch you anytime I please. And who are these people that you give your consent to? You don't know. They're the technocrats that I was speaking about that own all this technology, and you've given them all this power. You've gave them you willingly, they haven't taken it, you willingly gave them all your freedom and you don't even know it. And that's why I'm here today, because my children, all this freedom that we've been giving away has now come to a pinnacle, come to a pressure point. And now they're using all this technology where you've been giving all your consents away, and now you're giving your consent away to freedom, because you're willingly going in your house and you're doing the same thing with your real freedom now as what you're doing with the consent on your phone. You're willingly putting yourself in your house, and the longer this goes on, the more it will become normal behaviour.
Yeah.
Then we'll be
abnormal.
it will become normal behaviour though.
Yeah.
Well, you talk about abnormal, it's reverse language again, like the Aborigines, well, they're not the Origines,
Yeah.
they were there first. But it's such as they trick us all the time. But that's another subject again. But here we are, giving our freedom away. I'm not prepared to let that go any further because the freedoms of my children are at stake.
And everyone's.
Exactly, and everyone's.
What they've got to think about is, it's all right just saying, well, Mark will go down and do something, or somebody else will go down and do something.
Won't. You think people are coming to save you? They ain't. They ain't, and they never have been. You think someone's coming in the clouds? Forget all that. That's a trick. That's a trick. You save yourself. You save yourself, and if you don't, this is what happens. Worse. I said months ago, all this sort of going off in America, I said this was going to happen. You're looking at the real life Hunger Games. You've got control of all the food supply now, and more. This, what's that coalition of companies that's coming together now, and all the health organisations are going to be involved? I can't remember either, I was reading about it last week. Where they're literally, because of all this, they're going to put things in place to respond to crisis. And it means that they need a tighter grip on the economy. It means they need a tighter grip on the food supply.
You mean like that Rockefeller document at page 18 where it's talking about lockstep, where it's about locking us down and stepping us closer to a dictatorship?
Well, obviously, with all this, it's made it more acceptable to think about this one digital currency to the majority of people.
Yeah.
Because, for example, a lot of people are not taking cash. Only today my friend went to get a train ticket. He couldn't buy one because he only had cash, and they're not accepting it. And a lot of people have stopped tendering cash. I thought that was illegal, but maybe I'm mistaken.
No, they're supposed to take. They're not supposed to be allowed to refuse legal tender.
I thought. But there we are again. It just ticks that box, doesn't it? No cash. Go to one currency. And look how they've been training you for a long time now. This is how easily they train you, lot. Get people to draw cash from the wall with a chip and pin. Then let's just start paying in the store with your PIN number. Then let's make it so you can literally, to a certain amount, go ping with a card, ping with a card. Then you're doing it with your watch, your phone, and everything else. Now all they need to do is remove the object in your hand and put it in your hand. Yes, they've already trained you to go ping. They're already doing it in Sweden, ping on trains and whatnot. They've already got thousands of people had it done willingly, of course, and paid for it. But it's the later. They don't plan for something to change today. They don't plan for something to change tomorrow, next month. But it's on a generation. They're aiming all this at our children because this is the next change that they want to implement, and the ones that cannot defend their rights are the children. Are you going to do it? Am I going to do it? Are we going to do this together? Are we going to stand up?
Is every parent going to stand up for their children?
Oh, the state is the parent, remember? Remember? Parents don't have any responsibility over the children anymore. They don't teach them anything. The state does everything for them whilst they sit down and watch Jerry Mikhail, or they go to work, or whatever it is, or watch football, or the job or the entertainment is always what's taking our energy instead of our responsibilities, i.e. our children, which we create and then ignore for the majority of their life. Because I know we've got to provide for our kids, but you've got to understand the way that we're providing for our children isn't the way we're supposed to do it. This is a way that's been manufactured, and this is like a slave, it's a modern day slave trade. A plantation where you're given a number at birth, through your birth certificate, and then you're put into a production line. Your schools are literally training you to go into a certain role in life. You've got a pyramid, and like at the top you've got like surgeons and lawyers and barristers, and that's pretty much as high as you can get as a normal everyday person. And then obviously you've got people at the bottom, like who are on welfare, and that's the pyramid that we live in. And then you've got people that control us who are on like another pyramid above that pyramid. They don't learn the same things we do. They learn to learn things in order to govern people and to control people. And they also learn real things about science, not lies that they tell us at school, which make you think that You're an irrelevant grain of sand, evolved from a monkey that has no purpose in the universe.
Yeah, thanks, Darwin.
Yeah, well, it's not even that. There is obviously levels to evolution that do actually take place, but we're not talking about the way that it's been explained to us. Like right now, the human race and the universe seem as if they're going through a state of spiritual evolution, and I think that the people controlling us are scared about this.
I agree.
And I think that that's the reason why everything's happened the way it's happened recently, is because if they don't turn us against each other like they always do on such a huge scale, then I think there's a fear because the technology, again, even though they brought this technology, and if you look at what David Bowie tweeted just before he died about Google is the Illuminati and Illuminati is Google, that was the last thing the man said before he died, right? And because he was a big fan of the internet, he was a massive technology guy. Like when the internet first came out, he was like, this is going to free the people, this is going to be great for people. But obviously, the people that put out the lies and want to control the media and the way that people think, they realised, well, we can't actually control this, so the only way is to put loads of mistruths out there. And this is what they've done, flooded the internet. But now, with the power of the technology, they can censor things. They haven't been able to do that up until recently. And now with everything that's going off, look at what we've got: cashless society, censorship, one world currency, one world government, and all of a sudden it's going to get to the point where it's, I don't know, mate, to be honest with you. We're here, aren't we? We're here now.
Well, it can go two ways. It can go dark or it can go light. If it goes the dark way, then you might as well just roll over and die now. If it goes the light way, then they lose. It's game over, and there's going to be a lot of people end up in jail.
I can't say for sure, but I think that we're in a cycle, and that we keep having this cycle. But the problem is that every time we have this cycle, it's like with our politicians, how we elect these politicians. Now, nothing ever changes, but we just keep getting a different face.
Yep.
To the problem. We think that as soon as we replace the face, we'll get a solution to the problem, but we're not really getting a solution to the problem. The problem's still existing. Now we're in a big problem with everything, and you see how if you look at a lot of the technologies that we once had and a lot of the knowledge that we once had, a lot of it's been lost. And
like, for instance, apparently we've lost the technology to go back to the moon.
to the moon, which is something Elon Musk keeps bringing up if you know anything about Elon Musk. What I was meaning to say is that it seems as if there's a collapse like this every so often, like in an age, where everything builds up and then there's a big pressure cooker, and then a lot of things get lost. The history gets lost or covered up. We don't know. Maybe we don't know. And the same thing with the technology. We have certain technologies like we don't even know in this modern day where we are now. How did the pyramids? Yeah, just on the beat, aren't they? And we supposedly don't know how we built the pyramids. Like, this information's been lost, and yet we're supposed to be now at, like, we're peaking technologically, right? So we don't know how we built the pyramids all these thousands of years ago. So what happened? Now, if you know anything about Egypt, you know it got invaded, and a lot of the history and what those people knew got lost or got hidden. And now you see a lot of the secret societies now are doing a lot of those practices from Egypt.
Yep.
I.e., you've got the apron that comes from Egypt, and the set square, and all this stuff comes from Egypt, and the left foot forward. So they know a lot of stuff that they've not taught us or they've hidden from us, and it all comes full circle to there's a small group of people that. There's so many people in the world, you've got to understand this group of people can't control them all. But the technology is allowing them to now, which is why it goes back to the first thing that we said. The technology's caught up with the plan. So it's all about what people want to do now, whether they're happy with their home comforts, which they've been given. Look at how society's gone this last 10 years. Everyone who can't afford one's got a Beamer. Everyone's got a new Merc. Everyone's got a new house. They ain't paid for. You haven't paid for it. You're in debt for it. This is how they've done it. The bankers will always go back to fractional banking again, and now they've took all the wealth and they've turned it into a debt system. And at this time where 2 weeks before this bullshit, I think you call it bullshit, don't you?
Yeah.
2 weeks before all this kicked off, the American economy had just reached a record all-time high. And I was like, I'm a small business, and I know a lot of small business people, and the whole economy. You look around and you look at all the shops. Everybody's been having new shops, and the economy has been booming now for a few years, going up and up and up. And once it's reached its pinnacle, and everyone's maxed the credit out, and everyone's at the full max, and they can't actually get any more debt because they're at the full. But they're cool with that because they're turning over money every month. But all of a sudden, take the turnover away, crash.
They're in shit.
They're coming to collect now. You see,
coming to steal.
They're coming to collect. Oh yeah, but they've already done the stealing already because that's the debt. They did the stealing when you took it. You literally went and bought it with your own stole. It's like they stole your money originally, gave you a debt. It's just a made-up number now. So you've got this vehicle that you've not paid for. How are you going to pay for it now that you're struggling like this? And this is where they come and they will dominate everything even tighter because they're coming for all these businesses now will get bought up. All the ones that die. I would have died. I've been fortunate that I've been able to work in places like schools where there's been nobody, and because I'm a tradesman.
Yeah.
But it could have been worse, and I do keep reflecting on what it would have been like if I'd been somebody else, and there's other people in worse situations than me. Business gone. Now, I'm literally not entitled to anything from the government. I've had hour-long discussions with my accountant, and I'm not entitled to anything. It's a long-winded conversation, so I won't get into that, but I'm not entitled to anything because of me being like the director of a limited company.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people with similar positions to me or worse. That means if I wasn't working, then by now I would have been in a position where I was 3 months behind on my mortgage in a situation with them. All right, I know that obviously it's come out, the government has said that mortgage companies will help, but it's still not as cut and dry as we all know if you've looked into it or if you've had a discussion with your mortgage company. But I've been managing just to pay all my bills and stay afloat. My children would have been hungry by now. They would have been hungry by now. And there are people like that. And then you look to the riots in America and everything that's happening, not just with this George thing, but you see how people are starting to come out in force because their countries run completely different to ours. Their states are run differently and everything. So, but a lot of people in that country are underprivileged people. And we've not been able to do anything, to support themselves. They're like literally now at a point where it's do or die. They've got to either go back to work or do something or die of hunger. I want to know why this is not being addressed, for example. Why is it not being addressed the psychological effects on the children? Why is it not being addressed about people that are going hungry? And why are people that are going out there and demonstrating peacefully? Another thing I wanted to mention about those peaceful protesters when they were getting hit by batons and shot with rubber bullets by armed police that could also use lethal force if they deemed necessary. Where was all the weapons of the protesters? They were throwing stones, okay? This is in a country where everyone has the right to bear arms, let's not forget. So if those
we have that in this country, the right to bear arms.
The point I was trying to make with that, Mark, is that these people went out there to not protest peacefully. You would have thought they'd have took a firearm with them because nearly everyone. Yeah, the firearms, we were talking about the firearms. And what I was saying is if people were going out there to not peacefully protest, because this is obviously what's been out in the media, I know that Trump's come out and the word he used was terrorists against people that were throwing stones. It reminds me of somewhere in the Middle East, that does. Anyway, I digress. But the point I was trying to make is if these people were actually going out there to violently protest, you'd have thought they'd have took some hardware with them. because these people in America have got hardware in their houses. They're not. I'd say probably most homes have some kind of a firearm.
Yeah.
Now, if they was expecting resistance by the police, which they would have been, and they weren't going there to peacefully protest, why didn't they take some hardware with them? Why did they resort to throwing whatever was next to them in the street? That says they were defending themselves.
Yeah.
They weren't going out there to attack. Because if you're going out to attack, you go with the most
tooled up.
the most tooled up, yeah. But they didn't. They went out there to peacefully protest, and what you got, again, you get a few provocateurs who come in and do something, and next thing it all spirals out of control because the police get heavy-handed, and then you just see fear, and you don't know what to think. But yeah, people think that's not going to happen here, and it comes back to that what are you going to do? Are you going to take your home comforts over your rights to decide things and your rights to have choices? Because once this economic crash takes everything down to two choices, which is what they always do, isn't it? Like the Tories, Labour, the Democrats, the Republicans, they always want to bring everything down to two choices. So the illusion of choice, as it were.
McDonald's or Burger King, Pepsi or Coke.
Yeah. This illusion of choice, as the architect says, is how they want to control your decisions, get you moulded into you're either going to live on welfare or you're going to be employed. So if you destroy all the small businesses and get rid of them,
the ones that are hard to tax, hard to regulate, and the ones that just an inconvenience to them, if you like.
We're an inconvenience, people like being self-employed. If you get rid of those people and you just have this huge umbrella, as we come back to that huge conglomerate of companies at the top that own everything, like Coca-Cola and Mars and Unilever and PPG and a handful of others.
Yep.
You know, I can't remember every single one off the top of my head, but if you look on the packaging of everything, like Colgate Palmolive, you look and that goes back to a Unilever company.
Yep.
If you look on the back of everything that you buy, you will notice, if you do any little, like 10 minutes of research, you'll be able to find that all your products go back to one small group of companies.
Nestle being one of them.
Nestle being one of them, which is, Nestle and Mars. I think they're the same company now, aren't they, Nestle and Mars, or are they part of Nestle and Mars?
I'm not sure, but I know Nestle owns pretty much most of
It
them.
keeps getting smaller and smaller as these companies keep eating themselves down to just a handful of companies.
As we were told by Highlander, there can be only one.
Only be one. But you see, when it comes down to there only being this small
collection of people at the top that are managing to collect. Let's see, for example, through this, we've all been struggling. But look at shops like Tesco, and I was working for someone who works for Sainsbury's, who does marketing side of Sainsbury's, and she's got a very, very clear account of the figures and everything else. Sainsbury's during the month when just before we got locked down, in the lockdown period, that Sainsbury's turned over 9 times what they turn over at Christmas. So it just goes to show that this spectrum of the poor and the rich is just getting further up. So, the middle class is almost totally abolished now anyway. What used to be, the aristocrats and everything else, that's totally abolished. And you just got them and us. You've got this huge pool of people that are at the bottom, and then them controlling everything. Now, going back to, you're either going to work for them or you're going to be on welfare. Either way, you're going to be, your financing will be controlled by them. Whether you get money or not will be controlled by them. Whether you get food or not will be controlled by them. And when they've got you completely dependent on it, and they've got everyone completely dependent on it, which is what they do, get people dependent on stuff like you're dependent and I'm dependent on the state educating our kids. That's not the way it always was. Less than 100 years ago, if you tried to enforce somebody getting their kids taken to school, someone would try and shoot you or something for being on the land. But you see how quickly they've turned it around, that
we need a job, we need to educate our kids, we need their healthcare, we need their supermarkets to provide our food, make it easy. Nobody knows how to cook anything, nobody knows how to grow anything. No, you see, they've taken all these real life skills away from the family.
Yep.
They've destroyed the family unit and made it weak.
Yeah.
Because the families used to be where the strength once was.
Yep.
Now all the families rely on the government to do everything, like a parent. And without that, once they take that away, you see how weak you are.
I mean, look at all how we've all been locked up and how they've taken your right to work away from you. If the government wasn't that powerful when we still had those family units and them small communities, which is what the councils are supposed to do, which they no longer do, then that's when the government doesn't have this huge stronghold, and these umbrella companies don't have this huge stronghold on everything, be it the food supply or the finances and everything else. They can't, because everything's broken down into small segments which are run by the individual councils. But because they've infiltrated the families, and you've got more single parent families than ever before, and because they've sorry, that's all right, no problem.
Do you have children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews? What sort of a world do you want to leave them? Do you want to leave them with a totalitarian dictatorship which is forming as we speak? As you listen to this, a totalitarian fascist dictatorship is forming around us. If you care about your children, your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews, anyone, you need to get to the next meeting, 12 noon, Saturday 13th of June. Be there. Show that you are not going to sit down and let an evil, corrupt, satanic, Luciferian government drag you back to the Stone Age for the sake of your children or your grandchildren or your nieces or nephews. If you've got an ounce of goodness in you, you need to get to that next meeting and show you're not putting up with this totalitarian fascist dictatorship that is being unveiled in front of your eyes. You either stand up and say, no, I'm not having this, or you're the reason it's going to come. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. The lie can be maintained only for such time as the state can shield the people from the political, economic and/or military consequences of the lie. It thus becomes vitally important for the state to use all of its powers to repress dissent. For the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus by extension, the truth is the greatest enemy of the state. Joseph Goebbels.